There's a crop growing wild across North America that doubles potato production without a single drop of irrigation. It survives killing frost that destroys wheat. It spreads through underground networks like biological warfare. And once you plant it, you never buy seed again. For thousands of years, this plant fed entire civilization. Then we erased it from memory. Not because it failed, because it succeeded too well. A crop that grows without permission, feeds without cost, and spreads like wildfire cannot be owned. And what cannot be owned cannot be sold. This is the sunchoke, agriculture's most suppressed secret, the plant that breaks every rule of modern farming. Beneath your feet right now, an invisible war is being fought. The sunchoke doesn't just grow. It conquers territory through underground rhizomes that create sprawling colonies. These fleshy runners spread like veins through the soil, sending up new shoots wherever they choose. Plant 3 tubers in spring, harvest 30 by fall. Leave fragments behind, and next year you'll find them everywhere. The numbers are staggering. University studies confirm what Native Americans knew for millennia. Sunchokes produce 64,000 calories per acre without irrigation. Potatoes, even with perfect water management, yield only 53,000 calories. This isn't just abundance. This is biological dominance. The Iroquois understood this power. Their creation legend tells of Earth Woman dying in childbirth, bringing twin sons into the world. From her feet grew the first sunchoke, a crop born from sacrifice, meant to sustain her people forever. They called it Kaishuk Panak, the sunroot. These towering plants reach 8 to 10 feet, crowned with yellow sunflowers that track the sun's path across the sky. But the real treasure remains hidden underground. Knobby tubers, white and purple and gold, storing sweetness as inulin instead of starch. Unlike potatoes that spike blood sugar, sunchokes convert slowly to fructose, feeding beneficial gut bacteria while keeping glucose levels steady. When Samuel de Champlain landed on the Massachusetts coast in 1605, the Algonquin people welcomed him with a feast. Among the dishes was this mysterious root that rivaled European artichokes in flavor. Champlain filled his ship's hold with tubers and sailed back to France, carrying what would become Europe's salvation from famine. The timing was perfect. European soils were exhausted. Famine struck every few years. The potato was feared. People believed it caused leprosy. But the sunchoke spread like salvation across the continent. The French called it topinambour. The Italians named it girasole, sunflower. It fed peasants, livestock, even kings. No fertilizer required. No careful tending. Plant a tuber in spring, harvest pounds in fall, leave fragments in the ground, and next year a full crop appears on its own. The plant's deep taproot cracks compacted soil, drawing nutrients from layers other crops cannot reach. It tolerates drought, poor dirt, and cold to minus 30 degrees Celsius. But cracks appeared in this agricultural paradise. The tubers were small, knobby, irregular, difficult to clean, and impossible to harvest by machine. They spoiled faster than potatoes, refusing to sit in warehouses for months. And the inulin caused digestive discomfort in people unaccustomed to its effects. By the mid-1700s, the potato won the battle. Larger, smoother, easier to store. It fit the systems Europe had built: warehouses, markets, tax collectors. The sunchoke fell from grace, reduced to food for the poor and animal feed. A crop for those with nothing better. In North America, European settlers dismissed it as a weed. They preferred crops that required buying seed every year, crops that could be controlled, taxed, and sold. The sunchoke survived in ditches, roadsides, forgotten corners, no longer cultivated, no longer valued, just waiting. The plant's nutritional arsenal remained hidden in plain sight. 73 calories per 100 grams, 2 grams of protein, potassium levels exceeding bananas, iron, copper, magnesium, B vitamins flooding every cell. But the real power lies in that inulin content, 50 to 60% by weight, making it one of Earth's richest sources. This compound passes through the stomach undigested, reaching the colon intact. Beneficial bacteria feast on it, multiplying and producing short-chain fatty acids that lower pH, block pathogens, and help absorb calcium and magnesium. Studies show it reduces constipation, boosts immune function, and may stop certain cancers before they start. The sunchoke was designed for chaos, built for extremes. Where annual crops die, it thrives. Its perennial nature eliminates tilling, preventing erosion. Its underground network creates resilience that no corporate agriculture system can replicate or control. Then, war came, and everything changed. World War I strangled Germany, with an Allied blockade. The winter of 1916 became known as the turnip winter. People ate rutabagas meant for livestock because potatoes had failed. Thousands died of starvation. But in forgotten fields, wild sunchokes saved some. They couldn't be blockaded. They couldn't be seized. They were just waiting underground for desperate hands. The corporate conspiracy was already in motion. Industrial agriculture had rejected the sunchoke not because it failed to feed people, but because it failed to generate profit. The potato offered everything corporations needed: uniformity, predictable harvest timing, machine compatibility, and most importantly, annual seed purchases. Farmers had to buy new seed potatoes every spring. The sunchoke mocked this system by replanting itself forever. Uniformity became the weapon that destroyed abundance. Potato harvesters could process tons per hour, moving in straight lines across flat fields. Sunchokes grew in irregular clumps, matured at different times, and clung stubbornly to their underground networks. Specialized equipment would be required, or worse, hand labor. Neither scaled to industrial proportion. Neither generated the quarterly profits shareholders demanded. Storage sealed the sunchoke's fate. Potatoes sat in warehouses for months without spoiling, allowing global distribution and price manipulation. Sunchokes spoiled within weeks, demanding immediate consumption or processing. Fresh food couldn't be stockpiled, couldn't be controlled, couldn't be used to create artificial scarcity. But World War II proved what peace had forgotten. In France, 1940, Nazi forces seized 80% of all food production. Potatoes went to German soldiers. What remained for French families were scraps, sunchoke, rutabagas, vegetables once fed to pigs. For 5 years, millions survived on topinambar. People despised it. The tubers were small and difficult to clean. Eaten daily, they caused terrible gas. Still, they kept children alive when everything else was gone. The Nazi hunger plan systematically seized food from occupied territories, while millions starved. But sunchokes couldn't be controlled. They were too hardy, too wild, too scattered across the landscape. They just grew, indifferent to human politics and corporate system. In the Netherlands, the winter of 1944 became the hunger winter. 22,000 people died of starvation. The government published emergency cookbooks listing wild plants, tulip bulbs, and sunchokes. Families dug frozen ground with bare hands, searching for any tuber that might keep them alive another day. After liberation, survivors refused to eat them. An entire generation associated topinambour with death, occupation, and humanity's darkest years. In France, grandparents who survived forbade it on their tables. Never again. The vegetable that saved millions became a symbol of suffering, disappearing from markets, cookbooks, and collective memory. But war couldn't change what sunchokes fundamentally were. While trauma erased them from European consciousness, the plants themselves continued doing what they'd always done: surviving, spreading, waiting. The pattern repeated across the globe. Wherever industrial agriculture took hold, traditional crops vanished, not because they were inferior, but because they were uncontrollable. Amaranth was banned by conquistadors for being too sacred to indigenous peoples. Tepari beans disappeared because machines couldn't handle their climbing freedom. Mesquite was cleared for cattle that destroyed what the trees had protected for millennia. The sunchoke's crime wasn't failure. It was success without chains. It produced more food than potatoes using less water. It improved soil instead of depleting it. It fed communities without requiring corporate middlemen. Most dangerously, it enabled food sovereignty, the ability of people to feed themselves without depending on distant supply chains. This independence threatened the entire structure of modern agriculture. Food systems built on dependency require crops that fail without intervention, seeds that can't reproduce, plants that need fertilizers, pesticide, and annual purchases. The sunchoke offered none of these profit opportunities, so it was systematically erased, relegated to the margin, dismissed as primitive. The most productive, sustainable, nutritious crop in North America became agriculture's best-kept secret. War had proven its value beyond doubt. Peace chose to forget. Today, the sunchoke waits in your garden like a sleeping giant. Plant 3 tubers this fall, and by spring you'll understand why industrial agriculture fears it. Those innocent-looking roots will have multiplied into 30, then 300, spreading through underground networks that ignore property lines and garden borders. This is biological warfare disguised as gardening. Every fragment you leave behind becomes a new colony. Break a rhizome while digging, and you've just planted next year's crop. Try to remove them completely, and you'll discover what Native Americans knew. The sunchoke is virtually indestructible without chemical intervention. The spread mechanism operates like a biological clock. Underground rhizomes extend outward each season, sending up new shoots wherever soil conditions allow. A single plant can colonize a 10-foot radius within 3 years. Leave them unchecked, and they'll transform entire sections of your garden into sunchoke territory. Modern harvest reality reveals why corporations abandon them. Those irregular tubers resist mechanical collection, clinging to root systems that snap and scatter when pulled. Potato harvesters lose half the crop, leaving fragments that guarantee next year's invasion. Hand harvesting yields better results, but requires patience, something industrial systems don't possess. The inulin factor creates another barrier for unprepared digestive systems. That same compound that makes sunchokes nutritionally superior also causes gas in people unaccustomed to its effect. The gut bacteria need time to adapt, building populations that can properly process this unusual fiber. But modern food culture demands instant satisfaction, not adaptation periods. Climate change has shifted the advantage back to plants like the sunchoke. Drought tolerance becomes crucial as water becomes scarce. Cold survival matters as weather patterns destabilize. The ability to produce food on marginal land grows valuable as prime agricultural areas face unprecedented stress. While industrial crops require perfect conditions, sunchokes thrive in chaos. They store energy where drought cannot reach, in tubers buried deep beneath the frost line. They outproduce corn using 1/3 the water. They improve soil structure while other crops deplete it. The choice facing gardeners today is stark. Embrace the chaos for food security or maintain dependence on fragile corporate supply chains. The sunchoke offers abundance without permission, nutrition without control, sustainability without compromise. In permaculture circles, they're called the holy grail. Plant once, harvest forever. In commercial agriculture, they're labeled invasive, the word reserved for things that succeed without human approval. The same trait that makes them valuable to families makes them dangerous to systems built on scarcity. European farmers learned to contain them using root barriers and dedicated growing areas. Container cultivation works for small spaces. Regular harvest naturally limits spread by removing energy reserves before they can extend further. But containment misses the point. The sunchoke's wild nature isn't a flaw. It's the feature that ensures survival when controlled systems fail. Its refusal to behave predictably guarantees it will be there when you need it most. The underground truth remains unchanged since Champlain's voyage 4 centuries ago. Abundance was always here, growing in the dirt, free. We didn't lose the sunchoke. We just forgot where to look. The sunchoke teaches what empires want buried. Abundance doesn't require control. Plant 3 tubers this autumn, harvest 30 by spring. Watch as your garden transforms into something beyond your management, beyond your ownership. This pattern repeats across indigenous crops that enables sovereignty. They're systematically erased, not because they fail, but because they succeed without chains. The knowledge lives in the soil, waiting for hands willing to dig. The plant never left, just our memory of where to find it.